Editorial boards in two battleground states are weighing in on the future of the 2024 race. But the Philadelphia Inquirer says it's Donald Trump who should quit. Quote, the sooner Trump exits the stage, the better off the country will be.
You heard it right, folks. After the disastrous debate between President Biden and convicted felon Donald Trump, the biggest newspaper in the critical swing state of Pennsylvania, a state that both candidates must try to win, has publicly called for Donald Trump to withdraw from the election. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, we have several things to talk about in this video. Obviously, mainstream and right-wing media, as we've discussed time and time again, grade Donald Trump on a curve, and we've proven it time and time again. So obviously, the vast majority of coverage from both right-wing and mainstream media is about President Biden's very poor performance in Thursday's debate. And as a consequence, Donald Trump is naturally getting away with things. The fact that he lied disproportionately compared to President Biden, the fact that he refused to answer questions, unlike President Biden, the fact that he was just an absolute prick, unlike President Biden. All of these things are just being swept under the rug. But the Philadelphia Inquirer, the single biggest newspaper publication in Pennsylvania, again, a critical swing state that both candidates have to try to win if they want to be president, is now publicly calling for Donald Trump to withdraw from the race. And this is huge, given, again, all the clamor for from people for President Biden to withdraw. The Philadelphia Inquirer is like, actually, wait a minute, for all Biden's issues, shouldn't Trump be the one to step down? This is the case they want to make, and I want to go through this. To serve his country, Donald Trump should leave the race. Editorial. Biden had a horrible night Thursday, but the debate about the debate is misplaced. The only person who should withdraw from the race is Donald Trump. They say President Biden's debate performance was a disaster. His disjointed responses and dazed looks sparked calls for him to drop out of the presidential race. But lost in the hand-wringing was Donald Trump's usual bombastic litany of lies, hyperbole, bigotry, ignorance, and fear-mongering. His performance demonstrated once again that he is a danger to democracy and unfit for office. In fact, the debate about the debate is misplaced. The only person who should withdraw from the race is Trump. Trump, 78, has been on the political stage for 8 years, marked by chaos, corruption, and incivility. Why go back to that? To build himself up, Trump constantly tears the country down. There is no shining city on the hill. It's just mourning, like grieving in America, instead of mourning in America like a dawn, right? Play on Reagan's inaugural campaign maxim. Good pun there. Throughout the debate, Trump repeatedly said that we're a failing country. He called the United States a third world nation. He said we're living in hell and very close to World War III. People are dying all over the place, Trump said, later adding, we're literally an uncivilized country now. Trump told more than 30 lies during the debate to go with the more than 30,000 mistruths told during his 4 years as president. He dodged CNN moderators' questions, took no responsibility for his actions, and blamed others, mainly Biden, for everything wrong in the world. Trump's response to the January 6th insurrection he fueled was farcical. He said, a relatively small number of people went to the Capitol, and many were ushered in by the police. After scheming to overturn the 2020 election, Trump refused to say if he would accept the results of the 2024 election, unless, of course, he wins. The debate served as a reminder of what another 4 years of Trump would look like. More lies, grievance, narcissism, and hate. Supporters say they like Trump because he says whatever he thinks, but he mainly spews raw sewage. Trump attacks the military. He denigrates the Justice Department and judges. He belittles the FBI and CIA. He picks fights with allies and cozies up to dictators. Trump is an unserious carnival barker running for the most serious job in the world. During his last term, Trump served himself and not the American people. Trump spent chunks of time watching TV, tweeting, and hanging out at his country clubs. Over his 4-year term, Trump played roughly 261 rounds of golf, his real passion in life. As president, Trump didn't read the daily intelligence briefs. He continued to use his personal cell phone, allowing Chinese spies to listen to his calls. During one Oval Office meeting, Trump shared highly classified intelligence with the Russian foreign minister and ambassador. Trump's term did plenty of damage and had few accomplishments. The much-hyped wall didn't get built. Infrastructure week was a recurring joke. Giant tax cuts made the rich richer while fueling massive deficits for others to pay for years. His support for coal oil drilling and withdrawal from the Paris Agreement worsened the growing impact of climate change. Trump stacked the judiciary with extreme judges consisting mainly of white males, including a number who the American Bar Association rated as not qualified. A record number of cabinet officials were fired or left the office. The West Wing was in constant chaos and infighting. Many Trump appointees exited under a cloud of corruption, grifting, and ethical scandals. Trump's children made millions off the White House. His dilettante son-in-law got $2 billion from the Saudi government for his fledgling investment firm, even though he never managed money before. And as a matter of fact, the sovereign wealth funds managers, the people who actually advise the crown prince of Saudi Arabia, the experts who advise the prince on what to do with the country's money, they said, do not give Jared Kushner a single penny. And he gave him $2 billion. Trump's mismanagement of the pandemic resulted in tens of thousands of needless deaths. That's according to his own medical advisors, by the way. He boasts about stacking the Supreme Court with extreme right-wingers who are stripping away individual rights, upending legal precedents, and making the country less safe. If elected, Trump may add to the court's conservative majority. Of course, because Alito and Thomas will retire if Trump becomes president. Of course, there were the unprecedented 2 impeachments. Now Trump is a convicted felon who is staring at 3 more criminal indictments. He's running for president to stay out of prison. If anything, Trump doesn't deserve to be on the presidential debate stage. Why even give him a platform? Trump allegedly stole classified information and tried to overturn an election. His plans for a second term are worse than the last one. We cannot be serious about letting such a crooked clown back in the White House. Yes, Biden had a horrible night. He's 81 and not as sharp as he used to be. But Biden on his worst day remains light years better than Trump on his best. Biden must show he's up to the job. This much is clear. He has a substantive record of real accomplishments, fighting the pandemic, combating climate change, investing in infrastructure, and supporting working families and the most vulnerable. Biden has surrounded himself with experienced people who take public service seriously. He's passed a major bipartisan legislation despite a dysfunctional Republican House majority. Biden believes in the best of America. He's rebuilt relationships with allies around the world and stood up to foes like Russia and China. There was only one person at the debate who does not deserve to be running for president. The sooner Trump exits the stage, the better off the country will be. And that, again, is from the Philadelphia Inquirer's editorial board. Now, the reason I like this is because it flips the script, and I think in a way that is actually more accurate and better for the country as a whole. Again, the disproportionate focus on President Biden's poor performance, a thing we have acknowledged, is completely glossing over the just substantively greater problems associated with Donald Trump. And I do want to remind people who are struggling with morale, and I'm a cynic by nature, okay? So I too am struggling with morale, that the polls have come out. Obviously, it's not great news for President Biden, although some polls have him ahead of Trump, surprisingly, after the debate. But there are actually some really bad polling issues for Trump as well, and I want to show you a few. So YouGov and CBS did a poll, and one of the questions posed about Trump has the mental and cognitive health to serve as president. It's not great for Biden. It's really not. But it's not great for Trump either. Only 50% of the electorate, half of the electorate, think Trump has the cognitive and mental health to be president of the United States. It's not exactly a ringing endorsement. Beyond that, did they tell the truth at the debate? 40% said Biden did. 40% of registered voters polled said Biden told the truth more compared to Trump, 32%. And that's true. CNN and others fact-checked it. Trump told objectively many more lies and mistruths than Biden. What else? Should Trump be running for president? Again, this poll is not great for Biden, but I just want to remind you, it's really not good for Trump either. Only 46% say that Trump should be running for president. And think about it. That's with 4 years of getting away from Trump, right? President Biden is the incumbent. There's much more attention paid to Biden. So Donald Trump, again, he's graded on a curve. He's out of the media spotlight in ways that Biden isn't. He doesn't have, a record to run on except that which came before. And because of our short attention spans as Americans, he gets to distance himself from that. As a matter of fact, many people think that a lot of the bad stuff that happened under COVID happened when Biden was president, when Trump was president. Again, he has every damn advantage in the world. And despite that, not even 50% of the country think he should be running for president. 54% say Trump should not be. And why? Why shouldn't Trump be running for president? 91% say his felony conviction. 89% say decisions he might make in office. Nearly 90% of people fear what he might do if he becomes president again. And why shouldn't they? As the Inquirer points out, all the terrible, stupid things that Donald Trump has promised to do if he becomes president again, a 10% tariff on everything, going after the media, going after his political opponents. 62%, again, a decisive majority say his age, right? 44% ability to campaign effectively. So So even, again, going back to the 62 thing, 62% of the majority of Americans who think he shouldn't be running for president, a majority of them think that his age and his mental and cognitive health are a factor in why he shouldn't be running for president. So folks, I just wanted to draw this to your attention because to me, again, it's really important that we not lose perspective. It's easy to lose perspective. The right-wing media ecosystem, which is very well-funded, hermetically sealed, has so many advantages. They are in lockstep behind Trump. Trump is the guy. Trump is the vehicle. Trump is the vessel. Trump can do no wrong. He's a messianic figure to them. He's not even a cult leader. He's almost the center of a religion, right? MAGA is a cult, but I don't know if Trump is the leader so much as he is, again, the religious figure that they worship, even more than the leader itself. Like they're high priests, like Steve Bannon, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and, others. But Trump is truly a religious symbol to tens of millions of Americans. And the right-wing media serves that. Not just Fox News, not just OAN, not just Newsmax, but also alternate right-wing media. So Charlie Kirk, The Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, all the others. They are the culmination of Donald Trump saying years ago, was it 8 or 9 years ago, that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose a single vote. Whereas Biden has a terrible 90 minutes. Okay. And those of us, again, myself included, were concerned, very concerned, and still are concerned. That just goes to show that the Democratic Party is not a cult. And thank God we're not. If anything, we could probably afford to rally more around our leaders. But if anything, I think this is a vindication of the Democratic Party that to us, there are no messianic figures in this political movement. But for Trump, it's different. And the mainstream media, they'll gladly throw Biden and the Democrats, as we've proven again and again and again and again and again and again and again, under the bus for a variety of motivations, as we discussed in our interview with ex-CNN host Don Lemon, a veteran reporter, a legend in the industry. Even he said, listen, mainstream media tends to react to right-wing media. They're also afraid of being tarred and feathered as liberally biased. So they feel the need to create a false equivalence, a false balance. And then, predictably, they overfixate. But despite all of this, I just want to remind you, Donald Trump objectively had a bad performance. He lied much more than Biden. He did not answer questions. He does not know and cannot speak to public policy or substantive foreign and domestic policy. The polls aren't great for Biden, but they're still bad for Trump. A majority of Americans in poll after poll after poll say that Donald Trump is mentally unfit for office. Many more, especially compared to Biden, say that he is spiritually, characteristically, in terms of his character, in terms of his morality, his integrity, unfit for office. Donald Trump has so many vulnerabilities, and we can't forget it. And the most important thing, as far as I'm concerned in this election, is defeating Donald Trump. As long as Joe Biden remains the best possible vehicle to deliver a Democratic victory, I'm supporting him. If people can persuasively make a case that somebody would be better at that with 4 months to go, happy to do that as well. Because again, I don't worship Joe Biden. I think he's been a good president, especially with respect to domestic policy. But at the end of the day, it's about defeating Trump. So that's why I'm fine for this debate to play out. As far as I'm concerned, both paths are risky. And right now, I'm inclined to side with keeping up with Biden. Again, open to persuasion. But at the end of the day, this is bad about Trump. And Trump should be forced to reckon with it. So that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.